Sleeping issues are something that probably affect everybody at some stage in their life, and in the majority of cases, they're linked to stress. And it's not too much of an issue if it's an occasional bad night's sleep, but it does become a problem if it's prolonged. And some people learn to live with insomnia, but it's no joy. And I think sometimes people get so used to being exhausted that they've actually forgotten what it's like to feel good. So with insomnia, there are a number of elements that you might need to address. The list is quite long, really. But if we just look at the stress element, because that is quite important for most people, is if we're living with either intense stress or prolonged stress, then it really does become problematic. Really, you should seek some sort of help or do some activities that are going to help you with stress. So the obvious is doing some sort of exercise, even if that exercise is going for a walk or some yoga to help release stress. A really important one is to work on your breathing, because when we become stressed, we tend not to work on our breathing at all, and our breathing becomes really shallow. It's almost as if we're just breathing up this part of our lungs, and it's really quite useless, really. And we probably feel quite tense in the abdominal area. And so if you can just do some slow breathing, then that will help. And actually, as you slow your breathing down, you're probably then going to expand the use of your diaphragm. You can do specifically focus breathing down to the diaphragm. But actually, if you just place your hand on your diaphragm, which is just below your rib cage, and lie down for a few moments, 5 minutes, let's say, and just notice your hand raise as you breathe in, and it drops down as you breathe out. And what normally happens with that is your breathing becomes much deeper, it sort of slows down, and then you're able to get more air into the diaphragm. So it's almost like with that, you don't need to try, it's just focused breathing, and it will just naturally begin to improve and slow down that breathing. So that's one thing you can try, and it's good to do that, anytime really, but try and do that in the night time. A simple one also is, again, with your nervous system, is to use a little bit of the tapping technique. And you can literally just sit there in the evening while you're there with your partner and just do a little bit of tapping. You don't even have to say anything, because it will help your nervous system. So you're just tapping on the points, and I have a specific video up on my channel giving you all of the points for the EFT, but I'm just showing you here, and that will just calm down your nervous system naturally. And you can get more intense and more specific with the wording. You can start to add wording, but even just to tap, do half a dozen rounds of tapping and see if you notice a difference as things start to release with that. And obviously, if there are stressful situations in life that you're dealing with, then are there ways that you can make that stress less intense? Because that's really important. For instance, if you're in a job that has such high demands of you, and those demands are not just short-lived but permanent, they just seem to go on and on from one big challenge to another, is that the job that you really want to be in, if it is affecting your well-being and your pleasure and joy in life? You need to think about these things. If you're in a relationship that's constantly causing stress, then again, is that somewhere you want to stay, or is it something you want to speak to your partner about? And so it is a case of not ignoring the factors to the stress, but addressing them. And then there might be issues within yourself that are unresolved, stresses and traumas from different periods in your life that are just sat there within your subconscious, and because they're unresolved, then they create problems for you. So again, just consider whether it would be worth addressing those, probably through a therapist. Holistic therapy is a really great tool for that. Treatments such as hypnotherapy and emotional freedom technique can be incredibly empowering for that. So insomnia really is an issue that is linked to many things, but stress is probably the most common cause of any type of sleeping issues. And therefore, if you can sort that stress out, you can begin to feel so much better in yourself and much happier, and have more energy as well.